Remember that scene in The Matrix where Neo learns Kung Fu in literally seconds? Imagine if you could just download knowledge straight into your brain. Well, large language models, LLMs, are getting pretty close. And understanding how LLMs learn and reason, well, that's crucial for everyone because this technology is already transforming everything from how we shop to how doctors diagnose diseases. So grab your favorite mug, settle in, and get ready to unravel the secrets of LLMs. Welcome to Tech 6 with Nadina, where bold ideas brew and digital strategies simmer to perfection. I'm your chief strategy architect, here to guide you through the caffeine charged world of CRM, IT, and yes, what I playfully call digit transformation. Think of it as a bite sized tech wisdom like the perfect espresso shot to kickstart your digital journey. First up, we'll explore something called in context learning. It's a bit like learning a new skill just by watching someone else do it a few times. LLMs can do this too, picking up patterns and informations from examples given right in their text prompts. No need to retrain or reprogram. It's really like instant learning. Now imagine these LLMs as high-tech espresso machines. They have all the different parts working together to brew up these amazing language capabilities. Through research, we're learning how modifying these different parts or architectures affect the LLM's ability to learn in context. Think of it like this. If you swap out, let's say, the grinder in your espresso machine, you might get a finer or coarser grind, which changes the flavor of your coffee. Similarly, changing certain components in an LLM can make it better or worse in context learner. We're finding that even small tweaks to these components can make a big difference. Some LLMs become star learners, while others are struggling to keep up. It's like really finding the perfect combinations, of the beans, grind size, water, temperature to create the ultimate espresso shot. But here's the kicker. Some LLM, even with the same components, learn the task in different ways. Think of it like two baristas using the same espresso machine, but creating, unique latte art. And this just shows how complex and mysterious these LLMs can be. But what are the building blocks of LLMs? Well, let's have a peek under the hood of these LLMs. Again, we're thinking of them as high tech espresso machines with all sorts of intricate parts working together. Now, we're not going to get too technical here, but understanding these parts is key to grasping how LLMs learn. So, first we have positional embedding. Imagine trying to read a sentence where all the words are scrambled. That would be pretty tough. Well, LLMs have the same problem. Positional embedding acts like a guide, telling the LLM the order of words in a sentence. It's like giving each word a numbered ticket so the LLM knows exactly where it fits. Now, there are different ways to do this. Some are absolute, meaning each position gets a unique code like a serial number. Others are terry, which is a bit more dynamic. They consider the relationship between words, not just their positions. It's like understanding not just where each person sits in a meeting, but also how they interact with each other. Next, we have feed forward networks. These are the information processing hubs of LLMs. They take words and their positions and figure out the meanings and connections between them. It's like the brain of the LLM, where all the thinking happens. Researchers experimented with different types of network, like MLPs and Swig GLUs. It's a bit like experimenting with different brewing methods. Some might extract more flavors, while others might be faster and more efficient. Finally, we have normalized layers, and these are like the quality control team of the LLM, making sure the data flows through the model isn't too out of control. It's like making sure the water pressure in your espresso machine isn't too high or too low. They tested two types, layer norm and RMS. It's like choosing between two different filters for your espresso machine. Both do the job, but they might have slightly different effects on the final taste. By swapping these components around, researchers got a good look at how each one affects in context learning. It's really like taking your expression machine apart, putting it back together in different ways, and seeing how it changes the coffee. But how can we have the best of both worlds? Well, here enters the world of hybrid LLMs. And this is the really interesting part. Researchers have been busy cooking up some new exciting LLMs. They've been experimented with mixing and matching different parts and models and really have created this, we can call it a hybrid super expressive machine. And they found that, well, these hybrid LLMs are even better at learning than the original ones. It's like they took the best parts of both worlds and they combined them and it created something even more amazing. But here's the thing, not all hybrids were created equal. Some combinations actually made the LLM models worse at learning, and some just plain out didn't work. And this shows that there's a delicate balance between the different parts of an LLM, and finding the right combination is key. Now, how do we even measure how these LLMs are doing in the in context learning? It's not like we can give them a pop quiz and just call it a day. Well, researchers have come up with a new tool called ICL regression score, in context learning regression score. Think of it like a report card for LLMs, giving them a grade based on their in context learning performance. The score takes into account how accurate the LLM is across different context lengths. So it's not just about getting the right answer, but about how much information the LLM needs to get there. It's like judging a barista not just on the quality of their latte art, but also how quickly they can make it. This score is super helpful for researchers because it lets them compare different LLMs and see which ones are the best learners. So let's shift gears and talk about something called common sense reasoning. Now, you might think, common sense, that's easy. Everyone has it. Well, we hope everyone has it. But for LLMs, it's a whole different story. LLMs are like really super smart students. They can ace any test that you throw at them. They can memorize facts, write poems, translate language. But when it comes to common sense, they sometimes struggle. It's like they can solve complex equations, but they can't figure out why you shouldn't wear pajamas to a job interview. This is because common sense isn't just about knowing facts. It's about understanding the world around us, the unspoken rule of social interaction, the why behind things. Researchers are finding that LLMs are often relying on their vast knowledge to answer questions that seem like they require common sense, but actually don't. It's like they're using a cheat sheet to solve a puzzle. They might get the right answer, but they don't truly understand how they got there. And this is really a bigger challenge for the AI community because if you want LLMs to truly understand the world, we need to teach them common sense reasoning. It's like teaching a child not just to identify different colors, but also understand why the leaves change colors in the fall. And so, what makes common sense so special? Well, let's break down this whole common sense thing. It's trickier than it sounds, especially for LLMs. Think of it like this. Knowing that Paris is the capital of France is great for trivia, but it doesn't mean you know not to show up to a wedding in a clown costume. That's common sense. And here's the thing, common sense isn't something you learn in a textbook or a lecture. It comes from life experiences, from those oops moments, and from watching how people interact. It's like the difference between knowing the recipe for a cake and actually baking one. You learn a lot more from the hands on experience. And I would say another key ingredient of common sense is understanding social cues. It's like knowing when to offer someone help, why you shouldn't cut a line, or how to read a room from a business perspective, and knowing when to say the right thing. And finally, common sense is often something that everyone agrees with. It's the general consensus. It's the unwritten rule book of how we behave as a society. It's knowing to say things like thank you or not talking with your mouth full. So you can see why it's challenging for an LLM. They might be whizzes at memorizing facts and following instructions, but they don't know these real world experiences that shape our understanding of how things work. It's like they're missing a key ingredient in their knowledge blend. And so it begs to differ, are LLMs faking common sense? Here's something that might surprise you. Researchers have been putting LLMs to the test, giving them all sorts of tricky questions and scenarios. And guess what? It turns out that these LLMs often do better on questions that require general knowledge or expertise rather than true common sense. The suggestion here is that LLMs might rely on their massive memory banks to answer questions that seem like they require common sense, but actually don't. And this is a bit of a wake up call for AI developers. We really will need to teach common sense reasoning so that LLMs can truly understand the world. And it's important that as we're journeying on this, as we're looking at the future, that we make better LLMs. And so, what's next in the LLM journey? Well, developing and teaching common sense reasoning is one. It's going to basically be a new curriculum for AI school with lessons on social skills, problem solving, and understanding human emotions. Think of all the things you learned as you were growing up, things that you saw and you observed and you came to a consensus of. We need to create a more challenging data set and evaluation metrics that truly capture the nuances of common sense and design tests that not only ask what, but also why and how. And most importantly, we need to remember that, LLMs are still learning and they're really like infants. They need nurture, they need care, they need guidance, and we want them to reach their full potential so that we as humans can work hand in hand with them. And so, with that, stay curious, look out for another episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, share, and also leave a review on wherever you get your podcasts. Until then, stay curious, and I'll see you next time where we talk more about, well, it might be AI. So, raise your mug to the future. Let's clink virtual teacups and savor the sweet digital success. Subscribe to Tech Sips with Nadina, and together we'll craft your future one strategic blend at a time.